The first poet I fell in love with was a poem. I actually fell in love with a poem, not a poet. But my grandfather had died when I was 8 years old, and I was very close to him, and he had written poetry. And I went down in the basement and I found an anthology of poems without the names. And there was a poem there, and I somehow magically thought that my grandfather had written it. I loved it. It was called Spellbound. When I was in high school, it turned out I discovered it was by Charlotte Bronte. Emily Bronte, actually. It was by Emily Bronte. But I thought it was by my grandfather.
Do you mean literally, or as on reading? Probably Dylan Thomas.
First, Mother Goose. That's what we always forget about poetry, is that we fall in love with it as a child and we're only taught not to love it as we grow older. And then some of us find it again.
It was something like 100 great American poets or something like that. But this was back in the 40s when I was about 9 years old. And it had a poet, I don't think anybody, not many people might remember, who wrote The Highwayman, and his name Alfred Noyes. Good for you. And that became my favorite poem, along with Edgar Allan Poe. You know, I loved that bumpity bumpity bump, and I still have a weakness for it, although I don't do it myself. But I loved those guys when I was young.
The poet that I didn't know that I was falling in love with was when I was in probably 3rd or 4th grade, and I got a 3rd or 4th grader's biography of Gertrude Stein, and they had in the emblem, a rose is a rose is a rose, and it was a story about Gertrude Stein, and I know that that mattered. And then the poet that I fell in love with was John Ashbery. Many things, Wet Casements, Convex Mirror, but 3 poems. Flowchart. I remember reading Flowchart one weekend when I was just becoming a poet and knowing what to do.
The first poet I fell in love with was my mother, and then Allen Ginsberg and Pablo Neruda.
Paul Celan. In high school, somebody read him, and it totally changed my life. I heard a poem, Hair Stood Up on My Neck, and I knew that there was a use of language that had nothing to do with what we speak and nothing to do with literature. That was poetry.
Like literally, or their work? I don't know if I can answer that. Probably Emily Dickinson when I was really young. It's a secret.